It's pretty easy for me to say that Sasuke is my favorite character in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. And for years now, I've had to defend my stance on him being one of the best written characters in the series, especially when comparing him to some of his main character counterparts like Naruto and Sakura. I in no way hate those two characters, but today I want to give an argument in defense of Sasuke. From the very start, Sasuke was set up for failure. Living in the shadow of his brother, he was never able to get the full attention of his father, even though he was an exceptional student in the academy. And because of this, for most of his early life, he was chasing after Itachi, hoping to live up to the ninja that he was and gain his father's approval. If his life went normally from his childhood, and the Uchiha massacre never happened, then it's very likely that he would have never caught up to his brother. Itachi was on the road to becoming the Hokage if everything went well, and unless Sasuke was able to manage that as well, then he would forever be in Itachi's shadow. Because Sasuke was always trying to live up to the standards set in his family, he wasn't really able to have the freedom to make his own choices and grow into his own person and shinobi. This lack of choice is a repeating narrative in Sasuke's story, and as Kishimoto develops it, he makes it part of what is the ultimate turning point in Sasuke's arc. So keep that in mind as we go through his character. At the age of 7, Sasuke would have to go through something that no sane person would be able to handle and come out normal. Due to tension between the Hidden Leaf village and the Uchiha clan, Itachi, being the only bridge that the village had to the inside of the clan, was tasked with eliminating the clan from the inside out to prevent an all-out war from happening, as the Uchiha were becoming restless about their position in the village and were planning a coup. The village's decision was spearheaded by Danzo and the two elders, and was clearly made from the influence that the second Hokage had on the village. The reason the Uchiha were planning a coup in the first place is because when the second Hokage was in power, he did everything he could to try and strip away any sway the Uchiha might have in the village's politics, as well as casting them out to an outer ring of the village while simultaneously putting the police force under their control as a false form of empowerment. What the village needed to do at this point was try to make amends for the stuff that had happened to the Uchiha throughout the village's history and not force one of their own to kill their entire clan, just so they won't have to deal with a problem and not look like the bad guys themselves. Instead, they portrayed them as a clan who destroyed themselves from the inside. Itachi, being the pacifist that he was, agreed to the act of stopping the clan to prevent war, but in his eyes, he also thought he was saving the face of his clan by not allowing them to be looked at as evil for starting the war in the first place. So we followed through with the village's plan on one condition. He wanted to let his little brother live. This video is about Sasuke, so I won't explain everything in Itachi's plan, but there are some things that affect Sasuke. Itachi had decided that he would become the villain and that people would look at him as a crazy, power-hungry person who ruthlessly murdered his clan. But he didn't have the heart to kill his brother, so we planned around him. Itachi wanted Sasuke to hate him so that one day he would grow powerful enough to avenge the Uchiha clan, killing Itachi and effectively clearing the Uchiha's name from the history books. The day of the massacre, Sasuke came back home seeing his entire clan murdered. He finally gets to his house and is greeted by the bodies of his dead parents, as well as his brother Itachi standing over them. Itachi had to plant the seed of hatred into Sasuke, and being the genjutsu genius that he was, he used his signature ability, the Tsukiyomi, to replay the events of him killing their parents in Sasuke's mind. This alone would have done the trick, but Itachi pushed it further. Itachi made Sasuke watch his brother kill his parents over 500,000 times. Just once would have been enough to scar a 7-year-old boy, for the rest of their life even. But 500,000? This moment would completely break Sasuke and morph Sasuke's way of thinking, his rationality, and even his personality. Although he was already a standoffish boy and always looking to further his own power due to most of his early life being about chasing Itachi's shadow, this event in his life pushed him to the furthest extremes of that part of his personality. After the Tsukiyomi, Itachi told Sasuke that he did this to test his own power, and that he would leave Sasuke alive so that one day he would have a worthy challenger. He told Sasuke to let his hatred fester and build up until the day they can fight once he is more powerful. Itachi leaves Sasuke unconscious with a seed of hatred successfully planted. We aren't sure about the events of when the clan was found dead or how the village went about that situation at all, but Sasuke was made to go back to the academy the day after the massacre happened without any counseling or any sort of treatment for a child who went through something so unimaginably traumatizing. He was given an apartment building and left to live by himself as a 7-year-old boy who clearly had been scarred to the point of having multiple mental conditions. Sasuke grew up around two men who rarely if ever showed their emotions, so as a boy he had already picked up on this habit and acted as though nothing was wrong. He casted himself further away from his classmates and lived only for revenge. Everything in his life was to further his own strength for the day he would have to meet Itachi again. He was doing exactly what his brother had told him to do, not following his own choice or his own way of thinking, but following Itachi's. Meanwhile, as an academy student and later a genin, Sasuke is being taught the exact opposite of what Itachi told him. Living for revenge was something looked down upon as a ninja. But for Sasuke, he had no choice. Avenging his clan was the destiny that Itachi made for him. Having so many opposing ways of thinking planted into a child as a child before they're even able to make their own decisions as they grow and experience things is bound to give them a sort of identity crisis, not knowing exactly what they are meant to do in life. After becoming a genin, Sasuke formed a sort of brotherhood with his teammate Naruto. Naruto, being rejected by the village for most of his life, was able to form his own decisions on things, and for him, the ninja way that he created for himself was more important than following anything that someone else says. But until he met Iruka, it wasn't like he had a choice in the matter. Unlike Sasuke, Naruto didn't have these people influencing him since he was a child. He didn't have someone that had set him down a specific path, traumatizing him so they can manipulate every action he takes. Naruto was alone from the beginning and was able to make his own choices. For a while, this new bond had a very positive impact on Sasuke. He now had someone he can compete with and have a healthier reason for why he wanted to get stronger. He had someone that can test his own way of thinking since Naruto was so stubborn. He also had someone that wasn't his family that he also cared about. Being on a team with Naruto in the beginning had nothing but positive impacts on Sasuke's mental health, but as they went on missions together, Naruto's strength grew exponentially due to his natural talent not being fully realized until he became a genin with Sasuke under Kakashi. Sasuke's talent was shown since he was a little boy, so as a genin he wasn't growing at the same speed that Naruto was. And he definitely had a superiority complex, so Naruto's growth was definitely getting to him mentally. Sasuke's entire life was to become stronger, so seeing someone grow so rapidly compared to him made him hunger more for power, leaving him vulnerable to the influence of someone like Orochimaru, who saw this in Sasuke and took advantage of it. Orochimaru gave Sasuke his curse mark as a promise of power if he were to give in to his inner feelings and abandon the teachings that the village had planted in his mind. Sasuke was a perfect candidate for a curse like this, because like I said before, he really didn't have his own ninja way like Naruto did at that point, so he was always following what other people were to have him do, whether it was his father, Itachi, or the village. He was always being manipulated into a way of thinking that wasn't his own. After the preliminary round of the Chunin exams, Sasuke's sensei Kakashi was able to see some of what he was going through, and that Orochimaru now had his eyes on Sasuke. So he decided to take his eyes off his other students so that he can try to prevent Sasuke from falling victim to the circumstances that he was given. Kakashi taught Sasuke his signature ability, the Chidori, hoping that this ability and his one-on-one teaching would give him an edge against Naruto's rapid growth and untapped potential. The second half of the Chunin exams came quickly, and once they started, Naruto was surpassing everyone's expectations, coming out on top against someone who was considered a genius. But Sasuke's match was still being looked at as a highlight for the exams, so when he finally showed up, we were able to see the expectations set on Sasuke's trajectory as a ninja. Sasuke showed insane growth during the time between the preliminaries and now. He showed that his ability to copy with his Sharingan had improved tremendously. He was now able to move and do taijutsu similar to Lee when he had opened a few of the gates, and now had an ability that most would agree a genin should not have known. And this would be all good, but it still didn't change the fact that Sasuke had a huge problem with falling behind Naruto. And when Naruto would eventually show that all of Sasuke's work to close the gap between them was basically for nothing, as Naruto grew even more than anyone could have imagined, paired with the fact that he wouldn't be given the opportunity to have a real match he could win like Naruto did against Neji, he would ultimately fall victim to Orochimaru's trap due to the lust for power that Itachi set in him. During his fight with Gaara, Sasuke wasn't able to do as much as protect Sakura, so when Naruto was able to not only do that, but also defeat Gaara, Sasuke felt like all of his effort was for nothing. Kishimoto included an amazing scene where Sasuke was just looking up at Naruto and Gamabunto's fight against the Gaara and Shikaku in a battle that is so beyond the league that he was in at that point, making him feel literally and figuratively like an ant compared to where Naruto was. After the battle with Gaara, Sasuke is feeling worse than ever about where he's gotten following the path that the village had set for him. And on top of that, he finds out that Itachi was in the village and he wasn't looking for Sasuke, but Naruto. So not only is Sasuke falling behind in strength, but now he finds out that the person he's been trying to gain all of this power for was looking for his rival instead of him. This is for sure a petty thing to get upset about, but this leads to a confrontation where Sasuke and Naruto come face to face with Itachi and Kasame. Itachi showed Sasuke how little he had grown in the years that have passed since they last saw each other. It seems that Itachi was trying to get Sasuke to continue to hate him so that he would still eventually come after and kill him, but it's likely that he didn't know that Sasuke had already been influenced by Orochimaru, and that doing this would drive Sasuke to abandoning the village and seek out Orochimaru for strength. After their meeting with Itachi, Sasuke is at his lowest point since becoming a ninja, so he decides to challenge Naruto in a fight to try to prove to himself that he has grown. But at this point, it's too late. Naruto had grown so much in comparison to Sasuke, and this showed from the damage they both did to the water tanks that their ultimate jutsu had hit. Kakashi, knowing that Sasuke was starting to fall into the darkness, tried to talk to him, which I think was the best thing he could have done, but the problem was that Sasuke and Kakashi weren't as similar as Kakashi thought. Yes, Kakashi lost everyone he cared about as well, but it was under different circumstances. His father's death was impacted in a way that made him hate breaking the rules, because it would lead you to the point of wanting to end your own life. But those beliefs were challenged and changed by Obito. Obito, Rin, and Minato's death were all in battle by their own choices and free will, so they also didn't manipulate him and leave him with a way of thinking that brought him closer to the path of someone like Orochimaru. On top of this, after joining the Anbu Black Ops, the third Hokage took Kakashi out so he could prevent him from going down a dark path. But for Sasuke, his family was killed for what he thought at the time was his brother testing his own strength, and then he causes him trauma that Kakashi really couldn't fathom, even though he had gone through a lot at that young age as well. What Itachi did to Sasuke wasn't really similar to how Kakashi lost the people he cared about. So while Sasuke could feel like someone else lost people, he couldn't feel that anyone really knew what he was going through mentally. After being approached by the Sound Four, who Orochimaru sent, Sasuke finally saw that falling into the darkness was the only way he was going to gain progress. He saw what the curse mark was able to do, so just what else could someone like Orochimaru do to enhance his power? It's not hard to see that in a situation like this, choosing this route would be very appealing to someone who's gone through what Sasuke had been through, especially with it seeming like a conscious choice that he was making rather than something someone was manipulating him to do, like he's gone through in the past. Being the naive boy that he was, he couldn't see that Orochimaru was doing the exact same thing. At the end of the Sasuke recovery arc, we see Naruto finally being able to confront Sasuke. But at this point, there was nothing he can do to get through. The only thing on Sasuke's mind was power, but that didn't mean he wasn't still there making choices for himself. Although power was his #1 goal, Sasuke did not want to be under Itachi's control anymore. He didn't want to do things the way they were being set up for him to do. So instead of killing Naruto to awaken his Mangekyo Sharingan, he made his own decision and decided to gain power his way, not knowing that instead of being manipulated down the path of Itachi or that the village wanted for him, he's now being manipulated down the path that Orochimaru wants for him. Sasuke feels like he's making choices even though he's still caught in the same cycle of manipulation. In Naruto and Sasuke's first fight in the Final Valley, we also have Sasuke telling Naruto that there's no way he can understand losing everything, because Naruto never had anything in the first place. He never had bonds that were broken and taken away from him. While this argument is true, it doesn't mean that Naruto hasn't felt pain in other ways that are just as valid as Sasuke's. Sasuke, only being 13 at this point, just doesn't understand that aspect of life. And one person's experience doesn't invalidate another person's, because they can be deemed worse or better. Sasuke does admit, however, that him and Naruto did form a bond, even admitting that he did form a bond with the other members of Team 7 and the rest of the village. But because he felt that forming these bonds and quote-unquote playing ninja in the Hidden Leaf were holding him back, he wanted to break them so that he can continue on his path of the Avenger, allowing him to focus only on his goal of power to avenge his clan. After training with Orochimaru for 2.5 years, Sasuke has grown exponentially as a ninja, casting a large shadow over his old teammates in Team 7. While mentally he has grown a bit by gaining more experience and being able to have a clearer mind while only focusing on his one goal, he still hasn't been able to conquer all of the mental anguish that has followed him since before the Uchiha massacre. We see that Sasuke had basically reverted back to how he was at the start of part 1. He has become very antisocial again, almost always preferring to be alone unless it's to further his plans. His competitiveness has changed back to cockiness, as he hadn't had someone to constantly challenge him in his growth, and he now acted with almost no emotion to get in the way of his thinking in battle. Knowing Orochimaru had his own selfish plans for him, Sasuke found that he had grown enough and it was time to discard Orochimaru and start assembling a team. A team that will get him where he needs to be to complete his goals. Sasuke didn't choose these people with any personal reasons behind it. He only chose the people he thought would be most useful to him. This allowed him to not form any bonds and also made these teammates expendable if he needed them to be. This form of Sasuke wouldn't last very long though. There was still so much Sasuke didn't know, and so much within himself that instead of dealing with, he tried to cut off or bury, just making it fester and become even worse when they were uncovered. Sasuke and his team would go through a few battles together, all leading to their inevitable confrontation with Itachi. When finally face to face for their final battle, Itachi would continue to play the role of the insane power and battle-hungry brother that he's been playing since the massacre, making Sasuke's want to kill him and avenge for his clan even more justified. But even the great Itachi couldn't leave without giving Sasuke a cheeky show of love before his death, to show that the Itachi he once knew was still in there. After completing a goal like this, most people would feel completely empty, as there was no way that killing the person who took everything away from you would ever bring you the satisfaction you need to fill the void of losing everyone you once loved, and now not having the one goal you had to drive you. And pair that with all the emotional trauma and turmoil Sasuke has in his head, you get someone who is in a weakened state mentally and more prone to manipulation. And that's where Tobi comes in. At this point, the Akatsuki had been losing losing many of their members, and the 8 and 9-tailed Jinchuriki have proven a lot harder to capture than any of the other ones. So Toby is in need of more allies to accomplish his goals. Knowing a lot about Sasuke's life, Toby knows that now more than ever, Sasuke is in need of a new goal or direction in life. And it's important that he gets to him before anyone else, because Sasuke is in one of the most influenceable states he's ever been in. So he has to use this opportunity to redirect all of the hate he has built over the years at the Hidden Leaf Village. Toby uses this tactic because although Sasuke is in a weak state mentally, he still has his own morals and principles. So if he doesn't agree with something, he just won't do it. But if Toby can give them a common goal that fits into Sasuke's personal wants and needs, then he can basically use him as a member of the Akatsuki. In order to manipulate Sasuke's hatred, Toby would have to completely break down and reshape Sasuke's understanding of his life up until that point, allowing their goals to be in sync. And this is where Sasuke learns the truth about Itachi, the Hidden Leaf Village, and the Uchiha clan. Toby tells Sasuke that his life has been in Itachi's control up until this point, and everything that has happened was according to his plan. He tells Sasuke that the goal he has been living his whole life for was based on a string of lies that left Itachi as a bad guy, as he suffered for the sins of his clan and his village. Not knowing what the village had done to him and done to his brother, Sasuke's hatred had reached a boiling point. He no longer held the same morals he had before, and he became completely unhinged, driven only by anger and hatred for the ones who had made him and his brother suffer. This was Sasuke at his lowest, and he wasn't just going to sit around while Danzo and the village elders still breathed. Sasuke made it his goal to destroy the village that betrayed him, his brother, and his clan, and in turn, he would be doing things that would help in Toby's plan, once again being manipulated to fulfill the goals of others. With the 5 Kage Summit coming up, it wouldn't be long for Sasuke to be able to enact his revenge against Danzo. There is one distinction I want to make about Sasuke's goals pre and post learning the truth. While Sasuke's goal of killing Itachi was personal to him, at its base it was for his parents and his clan. It was him trying to bring Itachi to justice for what he did. Comparing this to his goals after learning the truth, you can see that him wanting to kill Danzo and the elders and wanting to destroy the Hidden Leaf are much more personal and vindictive actions. I say this because it seems to me like he isn't out for justice or setting things right. His actions are motivated more by anger and malice in form of retaliation. It's clear that Sasuke wants these people dead and he wants to be the one to kill them because of the wrongs that they did to him. This is most clear by how his stance on killing innocent people had changed after learning the truth. He is now willing to do anything for the personal satisfaction of achieving his revenge. Sasuke is no longer after avenging his clan, which in most cases can be looked at as something noble, but he's now after revenge, wanting nothing but to kill the ones that ruined his life. In my opinion, this isn't always a bad thing, but because you are no longer after justice, it's easier for your goal to be corrupted, making it much less socially acceptable to achieve, because in most societies, ends do not justify the means, especially when it's a self-satisfying end like Sasuke's in this case. After killing Danzo, Sasuke sets his sights on his next targets, the elders of the Hidden Leaf Village and the village itself. But with the declaration of war that Toby gave the 5 Kage, it wouldn't be long before his mission would be derailed. While tending to his wounds, Sasuke decides to take his brother's eyes and basically abandons helping Toby, leading to the start of him finally freeing himself from the control of others. But there's still one last thing he has to do before this can happen, and Kabuto's reanimations will give him just the opportunity for it to happen. Sasuke needs to talk to Itachi. At this point, Sasuke only replaced his hatred for Itachi with his new hatred for the Hidden Leaf for making Itachi go through what he went through. And although he is doing exactly the opposite of what Itachi was trying to get him to do, he's still making decisions that are clouded by hatred others have grown in him. And this becomes very clear once Sasuke finally does lose those shackles controlling him. With the start of the war, Kabuto unleashed his reanimated ninja, with Itachi being one of them. Being the person that he was, Itachi found a way to free himself from Kabuto's control. Using Shisui's eye, he implanted into Naruto when he was still alive, allowing him to serve his village one final time. Itachi entrusts Sasuke to Naruto and heads out to stop Kabuto, but before he can get there, he runs into Sasuke, leading to the two brothers confronting Kabuto. After defeating Kabuto, Itachi is finally able to free Sasuke from the shackles he put on him so long ago. With his last actions on Earth, Itachi is able to show Sasuke the truth of everything that happened without any form of manipulation behind it. He admits that he was wrong and his plan was wrong, and he should never have tried to take on everything by himself, as that's not how you do things. And him trying to do everything by himself led Sasuke to the point that he is now. But before he leaves, Itachi shows Sasuke the entire truth for what it is at face value, with no former trying to manipulate Sasuke to work down a certain path. And to finally give Sasuke the freedom to make his own choices, he tells him that no matter what, he will always love him. Sasuke now is able to see why Itachi made the choices he made, but was left confused as to why Itachi would go through all of that suffering for his village. What was the village to Itachi? And what was the village supposed to be in the first place? Sasuke needed to find the answers to these questions so he can finally make his own decision and be on his own path. And he knew just a person who can help him. Hey guys, really quickly, while I was looking for music for this video, I actually found out something very interesting about one of Sasuke's later theme songs. I think it's pronounced Junkyosha in Japanese, but in English it's called Martyr. But something very interesting they did, and it kind of plays into this video a lot, is they included a few other theme songs in it. So they have Akatsuki's theme song in it, Sasuke's theme song he had in Shippuden, the guitar one that sounds like cowboy music, Madara's theme song, Orochimaru's theme song, and Naruto's theme song. So this kind of adds to the fact that, you know, Sasuke is kind of being manipulated, and he's kind of like an amalgamation of all these mindsets and way of thinkings that have been put into him until he's finally able to make his own decision. And something I find really interesting is Itachi's theme song is in there, and I think that could play into the part where Sasuke was able to become free from Itachi's like influence, I guess, because, you know, before Itachi left, the last thing he told him was, no matter what, I love you. So it's almost like Itachi is the only one influencing him, but the only one who's not trying to change him in a way and manipulate him. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to mention that really quick. I thought that was really cool and it played into the video. But if you like so far, remember to leave a like and subscribe. But let's go on. Sasuke is able to revive Orochimaru through one of the curse marks. And once Orochimaru is revived and decides to help Sasuke, he sees something in Sasuke. He sees that he's no longer the Sasuke who was being manipulated by Itachi or him or even Tobi. And then later on, Orochimaru tells Hiruzen that the reason he helped Sasuke was because Sasuke didn't copy Orochimaru like Kabuto did, and he wanted to see where Sasuke's wind would take him. This shows that Orochimaru recognizes that Sasuke is finally free and that his wind and his choices are finally dictating his future. Orochimaru had mentioned wind on a few other occasions, and I think it's a really interesting topic for another day. After learning about the beginning and the formation of the Hidden Leaf Village from the first Hokage, Sasuke is finally able to make his own decision on how he sees the future should be. And like I said, I don't want this video to be about him and Naruto, so I think I'm going to end it there because, you know, he makes a decision, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You can think it's wrong or right, but it's his decision and he's finally making it himself. And I think that's the important thing in this character arc, and it's why I think that is his biggest turning point, and not after fighting Naruto. Because although that did affect how he thought, he didn't change the way he was going to go about things. He still goes about things from the shadow, and he is probably doing things that a Hokage shouldn't be doing. So his final words with Itachi and then finally learning the truth about the formation of the Hidden Leaf Village are really what formed Sasuke's, you know, picture of the future, I guess. So I didn't think it'd be right for me to go any further in this video into the war arc or into their final fight, because that doesn't have anything to do with Sasuke's character arc that I'm talking about. But I do think it'll be an interesting topic for another day. But for now, that's all, guys. So if you like this video, leave a like and comment your thoughts on Sasuke and my take on him, I guess. And then subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I do One Piece videos mostly, but I plan on doing more Naruto videos and other shonen, other comic books, anything really. But just subscribe if you want to see more, and remember to like and comment. Later.